everyone, it's Di here from Di's Den, and today I'd like to show you how I made this. It's a lovely little box. This will come right out so I can show you. This box is closed on this end and it will hold, woo, and I'm going to take them out because I'm going to put them in the new box. 4 tea bags, lemon ginger ones here today, and 2 tea lights. I guess if you've got the small tea lights, they're too big. So if you've got the larger, it will hold the larger tea lights as well, the thicker ones. So I'll just pop this back in here. It's got a nice little tab here for you to pull on. This one's a little bit tight, so it's not really easy to pull that one. Oh, it's not so bad, like so. But it's also got this lovely ribbon here, which you can untie. And then you've got a place here to do your writing. So I just thought this was actually gorgeous, so I'm going to make this as a Christmas one this time. Let me pop this one off. This one was a birthday one. I'll pop this one out of the way over here for you, so we can have a look at it again later. Let me put my tea bags over there too, so that they don't, not that I can make a cup of tea in here. So I'm going to be using, this is a very old set, but I really liked it for the small poinsettia die, and also for the, what is it, Happy Holidays down here, because it was small enough to put on my label. So that's all I'm using out of that set. I'll never get rid of that set, I love it. In this one I'm just using the label, so I used this label die and this label die as well. So I'll show you what that looks like, and I stamped in real red. So I don't think, I'm going to do a little bit more stamping, and I didn't bring over a block. Oh yes I did, here it is over here. I've got the season's greeting, so I've got the season's greeting out of this set, and I'm going to stamp it in real red. So I've got my real red just there. So let me show you what you need. So this box is done in 2 sections, the inner box and then the outer box. So for our inner box, we need a piece that measures 6 1/4 by 7 5/8, and then the divider, which measures 5 3/4 by, oh sorry, can't see that very well, 5 3/4 by 2 7/8. Then for the divider pieces, you'll need a piece that measures 2 5/8 by 2 3/4, and 2 3/4 by 1 3/8 in designer series paper. And then for on the end of my box, which is the end, this end here, sorry, you'll need a piece that measures 3/4 of an inch by 2 7/8 of an inch. So I'll pop that on one side because we'll make one piece at a time. Then for my outer box, you'll need a piece that measures, where is it, 11 3/4 by 5 3/8, and then you'll need some layers, and I'm not doing the 1 layer because it doesn't need all those extra layers on this one. So for the outer box, you'll need a piece that measures 4 3/8 by 3 inches, and then 2 pieces that measure 3/4 of an inch by 4 3/8, and 1 piece that measures 3/4 of an inch by 3 inches. And then for the inner card part of the box, or the writing panel, you're going to need a piece of card that measures 4 3/8 by 3 inches, and you're going to need 2 1 3/8 inch circle punches, or roughly that size anyway, but 2 of them because it makes it sturdier. So they are 1 3/8 of an inch across. So if you've got a 3.5 centimetre punch, that'll be great. And then I've got my labels here, which I've already done my stamping on my labels, and then I've got my little gold poinsettia to go on like so. So we'll pop that one out of the way, and we're going to bring in our inner box. Oops, move over there you. So we're going to move all these bits out of the way because we're going to start with our main box, and we're going to score our main box on all 4 4 sides. Let's move those so I don't damage them. Let's pop them over there. Okay, so we're going to score this on all 4 sides. And we're going to score it with the small ball because we are actually scoring on cardstock. And we're going to store it at 3/4 of an inch. Oops, I went a bit wonky there. 3/4 of an inch. And 1 5/8 of an inch. So we're going to score that on all 3 sides the same. 4 sides, sorry. 3/4, 1 5/8. 3/4 and 1 5/8. Turn one more, and we've got 3/4 and 1 5/8 of an inch. Whoa! I'm going a bit wonky everywhere today. So we're going to do each piece at a time so that we don't get mixed up. Let's move those again. So let's put them out of the way so they're not in the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove on all 4 sides the first 2 squares like so. Come on, go down there, go down there. Whoops. Like that, and then the next 1 square like this. I don't like that little poppy bit on the end there. That can come out, so that's better. Alright, so we're going to do that on all 3 sides that are left. Oh my goodness. I've got a bit of a frog in my throat today, so these 2 squares on the end, and then the next one along. And we're going to do it this way so you can actually see what we do all the way around. Oh my goodness, come on, cut my scissors. That's it. And the last one. And that one there. Okay, so we've got our piece that looks like this now. So then what we're going to do is we're going to turn it on its side and we're going to cut up this next square and we're going to notch it on both sides. Like so. Get up there, notch, you little thing. There we go. And we're going to do that on all 4 sides. I'm going to cut up to the next line and notch. Now you can do that all in one if you want, but I just wanted to show you what it looked like at each stage. If you download, I should say, not when you download, if you download my written tutorial off of my Facebook group, it will have a picture of it. Hang on, I need to get rid of that score line, so going a bit longer on that one. It will show a picture or a sketch of it looking like that. Alright, so once you've got that there like that, and I've got a little bit of a hoogie-woogie on that corner, let's just cut that bit off. I like to cut off the score line because it makes it easier. So then what we're going to do is we're actually going to fold and burnish this little box. So we're going to fold and burnish all the score lines. Now you'll see that this one doesn't come down right to the bottom, but we have our divider going in this box, so we don't want it right down to the bottom, otherwise we're going to have to adjust the measurements of other things. So then we're going to make our box up, and I didn't check my glue before I started to make sure it was going to come out today. That wasn't very clever, was it? So let's hope it's going to come out today. Yes, look at that, beautiful. We're going to bring that in, and we're going to bring our box around. So we've got a nice square edge on each corner. Might be a little bit of a longer project, but I think it's a lovely project, and as I say, you could do it for a birthday or a get well. We can hear the train today, if you wondered what that noise was, if you can hear it on the video. Okay, so once we've done that, we're then going to pop some glue onto these sections here, one at a time. And because it's warm today, which is great because we want warm weather for summer, don't we? It's starting to dry a little bit quicker. And then we can pop that one down tight and squish it down tight. This is not sticking very good today. I think I need to squash my glue a bit more so that it comes out a bit more. So we're going to pop some glue in here. It does stick. This is good, absolutely fantastic glue. I usually never have any problems with it, like I didn't with that side. It was just that one side that was like, I don't want to stick. It must be first glue of the piece, not sticking day. Around we go, right the way around our box, like so. And doing our last side. I'm going to pop the pin in this glue again. Get some more glue out. It's sort of, there we go. Sort of playing games. Okay, so we've got our little box made, and there's nice reinforced edges right around, which makes it sturdier. So we're going to pop that on one side, and we'll pop the pin in a glue for now because we're not ready to do anything else. I'm going to bring in our divider piece of card. So with our divider piece of card, we're going to bring in our scoreboard again, and I'm really going to change pages so I can actually read what I've got to do. So we're going to pop this on the long side, and we're going to score this once again with our small ball, and we're going to score this at 1/2 inch on the long side. Whoops. Why 1/2 inch? That doesn't sound right. 2 1/4 inches and 3 inches. I think that should have been 1 1/2 inches. I have written that down wrong. 1 1/2 inches, 2 1/4 inches and 3 inches. Whoa, that's good job I found that before it went out, wasn't it? That's 1 1/2 inches. There we go. I'm not worrying about that. That's going to get covered. So we've got our 1 1/2, 2 1/4 and 3 inches. So they're 3/4 of an inch apart. I thought that looked a bit weird. And we're going to fold it at the 2 1/4 inch mark to start off with, so that we've got a mountain, and then we're going to valley fold the other two. So as I say, I'm not worrying about that piece there because it will be covered. So we've got our little divider that looks like this, and then we're going to glue this in here so that it will stick together and hold it in place. So we only need to glue on one side, press it closed, and then we can fold that down, doesn't matter which way or both ways. I have a little bit of glue coming outside. So we have our piece here, and we have our 2 pieces of designer series paper, which was the 2 and I can't remember. Turn it over. 2 and 5/8 by 2 3/4, and then the other piece is 2 3/4 by 1 3/8. So we're going to glue those into place like this on our little divider. Now, because there's not a lot of difference between this one on one side and the other, just be very careful about which way round you place it in there. So it's better to place it on there first and then go, oh, that's right. Then with the squarer shaped piece, because there's only like, I don't know, very small amount difference. Okay, so we've got our pieces in here like this, and then they are going to be glued into place into the box like so. So there's a tiny little bit of wiggle room, and if you don't want to glue it down, you don't have to, but I'm going to glue mine down. So that's glued into our little box, like so. Let's give that a good press down. And then you want to decide whether you, when your box opens, the person sees the tea lights or the tea bags first. Now it's entirely up to you. I think personally it needs to be the tea lights first. Oops. So I'm going to bring in my 2 little circles wherever I put them. Oh, there they are. That's only one. Where's the other one? And I'm going to bring in my scoreboard once again, only because it's easier to score them. And I'm going to score these, and because they're 1 3/8, they're going to get scored at just about 3/4 of an inch. You just need to do a light one so that you can fold it over and bring it into place, because it's between the two, so you'd need to really do it on your other board. And it doesn't really matter if it's a little bit longer on one side than the other. So, or you can just fold it in half like so and press it down, and then we're going to pop the 2 together to make, so let's fold this one in half again. Let's fold that one in half again. There we go. Bring that one in, fold that down that line. It just makes it a little bit stronger. You don't have to use 2. But I just found that it made it a little bit stronger, which made it a little bit easier on the pull. So I'm going to pop the 2 together like so. And let's give them a bit of a wipe over so that the glue is sticking. And then we are going to glue that to the inside of our box like this. So we only need glue on this 1/2. That can just sit in there like so. Nice and firmly. That gives that a nice edge, you're not sort of pulling on something that could pull apart. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to pop this last piece of designer series paper on this same end as we've got our circle. And that is our inner box done then. I'm going to pop the pin on my glue for a minute because we're going to work on the other bit. Okay, so pop that on there. I've got glue all over my fingers. And a hair in there as well. That was really clever. Okay, so I can't really press that one down really well. I could have done that beforehand, but then I would have had to have watched where I put my box. So that is my box, inner box made. So we're going to now bring in our outer box. So I'm going to put my label and my writing panel on one side, along with my pieces of designer series paper, so that we have our piece that is 11 3/4 by 5 3/8. Weirdy measurements, so we're going to score this at 3 1/8 of an inch, 4 1/16 of an inch, which is the one little notch before the, let's move my camera a tiny little bit because that was in the way, sorry about that. 4 1/16 of an inch. Then we're going to shift this across to 7 3/16 of an inch, 8 1/8 of an inch, and 11 1/4 of an inch, which I'm going to probably be out of the screen, I'm not sure. 1/4 of an inch, 11 1/4. Then we're going to turn it the other way along the long side, short side, and we're going to mark this at 7/8 of an inch. Okay, now that we have all our score lines here, let's move our scoreboard out of the way and bring in our piece. And what we're going to do here is we are going to remove this tiny little piece on this end, which is on the 11 1/4 inch end. So we're going to remove that piece, and we're going to just notch it tiny bit on that end, like so. No, we're not, we shouldn't have notched that. Yes, we should. Okay, then we're going to cut up our next 2 squares here, and we're going to notch those. And then we're going to move along to the next 2 little squares, and we're going to notch those as well. And then this long one on this end, we are actually going to remove that completely. Like so. So our piece should look just like this, which is exactly what it would look like in my picture. Oops. Let's put you all nice and straight again so that I can see what's going on as well. Alright, okay, so once we've done that, we're actually going to fold and burnish all these score lines around this way. Oops. Turn that around that way to do it. Making sure that it's always nice and straight along this edge, because this is the open edge. So we want that to be nice and square. Then we're going to fold all of our bottom pieces up. And our box is going to come around, and it is going to glue up like so. So that is then to the top like that, so that this opens. Now I've got mine folded the wrong way, so I'm going to refold mine the opposite way, because what you want is when this flap here opens, you want it to open on so that your closed end is on the left hand side. So it's opening this way, open on this end, closed on this end. So if you folded it the wrong way, which is what I just did, just refold it. Because this is nice sturdy cardstock, it's not going to be a problem. Alright, so we're going to bring this over. We're going to put glue on this tab and then bring this over like so, so that that will glue to the top inside of the box just there. Like that. That will glue to that top bit along there. So you want it to glue to there like that. Alright, so let's get the glue off my finger because it's really annoying me. There we go. And we're going to pop some glue onto this section here. We're going to lay that flat and we'll bring this over so that this edge here matches up with this edge here. So we'll bring that over like so, and we can see that that edge comes together. That goes right over then, so that you can pull that down like so, and just get rid of our squishy glue out of the middle, and then we can pop it back the other way and give it another good pop down like so. So we now have our box shape. Okay, so I've got a little bit of extra glue there. So we're going to just pop that down again and make sure that's nice and tight. Okay, so then we're going to pop these pieces in. So we want this one, because this is the front of the box, so we want this one to roll over to the back. So we're going to turn it this way. We want this one to go on the top. We're going to pop this bottom one in. I'm going to pop a little bit of glue on our tabs. We're going to bring our bottom of our box in, bring that one down and that one down like so. Then we're going to pop some glue onto our tab here, which is this piece, okay, and then bring that down, making sure that it's all nice and square, and then we can then push that down on the inside like so. Okay, so we've got our box shape. We're going to bring in our designer series paper, and we're going to pop our designer series paper onto the sides here and here. So we need our longer pieces, one for the front and one for the back. Now if you've got a directional paper, just be aware of which way around you're putting it. And don't splurt it all over everything else, including the oil table. I'm really doing a good job of this one, aren't I? Okay, so I've got that on there. Luckily my glue dries non-sticky. So I'm going to just bring that down so it's nice and even across that edge. We'll move around. And once again, I'll pop this one on this end. And then my last one on the other end, the back. That piece needs to go that way up. Okay, so we have our pieces on like this. We're now going to put our other piece onto the top like this. So we're going to make sure that it's the correct way up, because we want it to be, if there's a direction, I think it looks better that way up personally. So I'm going to pop that piece on the top there. Now I can also lay that down like that so that I can actually make that nice and flat, like so. And then we're going to pop our writing panel in here. So I'm going to do my little bit of stamping on my writing panel. Which is just going to say Season's Greetings. Right in the middle like so. How gorgeous is this looking? We'll give that a few seconds to dry so we don't smudge it. My glue is coming out fast and furious now. And this piece will go on the inside. Now this is optional, so you don't need to write anything in here if you don't want to. So let's pop that over this way and press that down like so. Okay, so that is the main part of our box done. So we can actually put our tea lights and our tea bags. Now I found the easiest way was to put one tea bag one way, one the opposite, like so. And that way you will actually fit 4 tea bags into there. That will slide into there beautifully. So all we've got to do now is we've got to bring in our ribbon and our gems, and we are going to wrap our ribbon around our box. Now I'm going to wrap mine around like so and work out just how much I want for cutting off, and I think that's probably just a tiny bit more enough ribbon. And once again I forgot to bring over some double-sided tape, which I'm going to bring up, just go and get. I don't think I've got any on here, no. On my other desk. So I worked out roughly where I'm going to put my ribbon, through the middle there. So I'm just going to put a little bit of tape just to hold it in place through the middle here, so that it doesn't slide out. Now this is optional, you don't need to do this, but I just think it makes it stay in place nicer. And then we can then glue these 2 pieces together. And pop this up on some dimensionals. And while that's doing, I'm going to glue these together too. Now I just thought these looked absolutely gorgeous in gold. And let's see, I've got the good end. That a good squash down. Alright, so we pop some dimensionals onto the back of this. And I know this has been a very messy. Sorry about that, my memory card ran out, of all things. Okay, so I'm just putting them on the ends because we're going to pop that over the top, so we don't really, well, I guess we can put a couple in there. I'll just put one either side of that where the ribbon is. So let's move that out of the way and pop these on here. Run indoors, get my other memory card, and that was very clever of me, wasn't it? I was going to bring them out and then I didn't bring them out. Okay, so we've got our box on there like so. Let's tie this off in a nice bow. Let's see if I can do a nice bow. I'm not the best bow tire in the world here. So we've got a nice bow there. We're going to pop this up here on a dimensional on the baby ones. The mini ones, like so. How gorgeous does that look? And then I'm going to put some of these gems on the top. So let's put the pin in my glue because I don't need that. I've been running around everywhere with fixing that up. Okay, where is my tool? There it is. There's my picker tool. So I'm going to just use the small ones, and I'm going to pop them. One here, and I'm going to pop one. No, I'm not going to pop one in the middle. I'm just going to leave that plain in the middle, like that. So that is our little project, which was a bit of a mess, I know, and I'm sorry about that. I got a bit of a hoo-ha, and that's our little box, and that's how gorgeous it is. See how much better this one slides, because I didn't put 2 on there, and I thought, no, I'm going to put 2 on that, and it slides beautifully. So if you've enjoyed today's project, even with all the messing around in the middle, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment, even if it's a one to say, whoa, that was a bit messy. I don't mind. I know it was. But if you've enjoyed it and you'd love the written tutorial for this project, please head down below here to Diane for Stamping, Crafting and Tutorials. There you'll find the link to my Facebook group. And when you go to my Facebook group, if you're not a member, you need to join, and you do need to answer the question to join. I'm going to get very, very strict on that from the 1st of January for sure. So please be aware of that. And I look forward to seeing you there if you haven't been there. And if you have before, well, welcome back. And I will see you all again next week. Bye for now.